If you're preparing for an emergency, don't be so quick to buy one of these gravity-fed water filters. There's a ton of misinformation out there about water filters which are marketed for emergency preparedness water treatment. I've done some digging, and honestly, I feel like we're being misled by a lot of these manufacturers. Many of these systems are marketed specifically to preppers as a solution to filter untreated surface water during an emergency. But there's evidence to suggest that some gravity filters may be oversold, unsuitable for their intended purpose, or potentially even dangerous. Now, the information I'm about to share is based on existing evidence, or in some cases, a lack of evidence, and I'll link everything down below if you want to read it for yourself. My intention here is to make folks aware of exactly what they're buying so that they can make an informed purchase, rather than relying solely on the brand's marketing copy, which of course will always have some element of bias. So let's start off talking about silver, which is commonly used in water filters, but is sometimes misleadingly quoted as being a filtration or disinfection agent. Many brands don't go into enough detail about the actual purpose of silver in their filtration systems, and for the average customer without industry knowledge, this can lead to incorrect assumptions or expectations about silver's role in a water filter. So silver is not registered as a disinfectant. The World Health Organization doesn't support the use of silver as a drinking water disinfectant. Its efficacy is uncertain, and any effect requires higher concentrations and lengthy contact periods. Additionally, the CDC notes that in the US, silver is only approved for maintaining the microbiologic quality of stored water. I also found that in 2021, the EU Commission decided against approving certain silver compounds for use in biocidal or antimicrobial products in the EU. So you might be wondering then why so many of these gravity systems use silver in their filters, and it's because of its antimicrobial properties. Silver is impregnated into carbon filters to prevent bacterial growth in the filter itself, not to disinfect the water. So I found a scientific review that confirms silver's antibacterial effects, but it says that its antiviral and antiprotozoal mechanisms are not well understood. And the Water Quality Association's silver fact sheet basically says the same thing. Because of its bactericidal abilities, silver is used as a water bacteriostat in carbon-containing filters. We also have similar confirmation from the EPA, which states silver is registered for use in water filters to inhibit the growth of bacteria within the filter unit of water filter systems designed to remove questionable taste, odors, and color from municipally treated tap water. Take note of that last part, municipally treated tap water, which specifically means water that's already been disinfected. It appears that many gravity-fed water filter manufacturers are using silver-impregnated media, then claiming their filters can effectively filter untreated surface water. What we do know suggests that silver-impregnated water filter media will reduce bacteria for some time due to its bactericidal properties, but none of these systems that claim pathogen reduction for emergency preparedness have actually been tested or certified to a specific capacity or volume of water, because this is not the intended use of the silver in the carbon media. Now, I want to quickly show you the data from our own real-life testing of a couple of these systems, the Berkey and the Alexapure. We filtered untreated surface water, just like someone might do if the tap runs dry, and then sent samples to a lab for analysis. The tests actually showed no detection of bacteria post-filtration from either system, most likely due to the silver impregnated in the filters. However, I should note that this was just one limited test and does not confirm the silver's long-term abilities as a disinfectant. So Berkey actually revoked their claims for pathogen removal amidst requirements from the EPA to register their filters as a pesticide device. One Berkey distributor, Berkey International LLC, then filed a lawsuit against the EPA to stop the agency from classifying Berkey filters as pesticides. In their arguments against the EPA's requirements, the distributor even say themselves, testing conducted on the black Berkey elements has verified that the minuscule amount of silver in the filter element formulation does not kill pathogens in the water, but merely protects the filter itself. So why does the EPA want the Berkey systems to be registered as pesticides? Well, under FIFRA, that's the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act, the EPA regulates all water filters that claim to remove microorganisms, bacteria, parasites, etc. Silver is classified by the EPA as a pesticidal substance, hence the requirements for Berkey filters, which contain silver, to be listed as pesticide devices. The EPA website also defines combination products, saying that a filter that physically traps microbial pests, generally a device, would be an antimicrobial pesticide product if it also incorporated a pesticidal substance that kills those pests to improve the efficacy of the entire system. So a combination product, such as a water filter that claims to remove microorganisms and contains a pesticide substance, may be regulated by the EPA in the same manner as a pesticide product. So I know this is a lot of info, guys, but I think it's really important to understand exactly what's going on here. The last thing I want to reference is a letter from the heads of the WQA and IAPMO, two of the largest independent water quality advocacy groups, to the EPA, essentially asking the EPA to reconsider how it currently regulates water filtration systems under FIFRA. I'm going to link the letter below, but essentially it discusses the current regulations under FIFRA and the issues they cause. And the coalition proposes an alternative compliance pathway that relies on third-party certification. So to quickly summarize, silver is known for its antimicrobial properties for a limited time, but is not registered as a drinking water disinfectant. Silver is not recommended by the World Health Organization for this purpose, and silver is classified as a pesticide in the US, which currently affects how water filtration systems containing silver impregnated media are regulated. So my takeaway for this section is to be aware of what you're buying and its actual capability. While silver has shown promise in reducing bacteria in water, its primary purpose is to protect the filter itself from bacteria growth, not to disinfect the water. The next issue with many of these gravity-fed filtration systems that I want to discuss is their unusually and maybe even unrealistically high capacity claims. This is another case of claims being made without any solid supporting evidence. Take Berkey's black filter elements, for example. One of their biggest selling points is that a pair of these filter elements can filter water up to 6,000 gallons before they need to be replaced. But where's the evidence? I've tested many of the most popular stainless steel gravity-fed systems today, and something I've noticed is that their claimed filter lifespans differ drastically. For instance, if we look at Pro One's G2.0 9-inch filters, each has a capacity of 1,200 gallons, just about half of Berkey's claimed 3,000 gallons per filter. But then we also have Waterdrop claiming a 3,000 gallon capacity per filter, and Alexapure, which has only been tested for a 200 gallon capacity. Obviously, these different filters have their own unique design, but for those with much higher capacity claims, how can we be certain that the filters actually continue to effectively filter water after 200, 500, or even 1,000 gallons? We need to see proof from the manufacturer, ideally with third-party certifications from the WQA, NSF, or IAPMO. These organizations test water filters for reducing contaminants that the manufacturer claims. There's a lot that goes into the certification process, and there are different requirements depending on the claim being made, the certification standard, and the product design. For example, if a company claims chlorine reduction, it's normally tested to NSF 42, which only requires testing to the claimed capacity. And by the way, guys, when I say capacity, I'm really talking about the volume of water a filter can process before it becomes ineffective. So if a filter claims a 400 gallon capacity for chlorine, it's tested to 400 gallons for a certification to NSF standard 42. However, if the product claims lead reduction, it's tested to NSF standard 53, which requires testing to 200% of the capacity claims for products that don't have a warning indicator, and 120% of the capacity for products that do contain a warning indication device, which counts gallons and warns the user when the certified capacity is reached. But we just aren't seeing any of these large gravity-fed filtration systems obtaining official performance certifications. It's kind of an odd trend. I've reviewed many types of water filters in many different categories, and we always seem to have the standout products that have actually achieved official third-party certification for their performance and their contaminant reduction claims. But overall, in this category of large gravity-fed filters, manufacturers just aren't getting their products certified. Is it just a coincidence, or is it because these manufacturers believe their products might not actually pass the testing to achieve certification? To reiterate, a water filter only obtains certification for reducing contaminants if it can be proven through third-party testing to rigorous NSF ANSI standards. So this is just my hypothesis, hypothesis, but I also haven't found any evidence to prove it wrong. These brands justify their high price points by claiming that their filters last months or even years, treating hundreds or even thousands of gallons. However, even if you invest in one of these systems and the filter seemingly lasts as long as advertised, it may stop effectively reducing some contaminants after just a short time span. For instance, while it still might filter out chlorine, other contaminants it's designed to reduce, like lead, might start slipping through. On the subject of filter capacity, I also want to highlight the risk of using the same water filter cartridge for an extended period of time. There was a study done back in 1996 of microbial contamination of water from Brita pitchers, which found that from 4 of the 6 filters, bacterial counts in the filtered water were higher than the unfiltered tap water after just 1 week. In some cases, the colony counts in the filtered water were 10,000 times than those in the tap water. The study authors noted that this indicated bacterial growth or biofilm accumulation in the filter media, and while they don't theorize why, I'd imagine it's because the residual chlorine disinfectant is being removed by the filter media, creating a perfect environment for bacteria growth. Now, obviously, this study was conducted a long time ago with a completely different style of gravity filter, but it still raises some concerns. If, in this study, bacteria began to grow and contaminate the water within just 1 week, what about the filters in these stainless steel units that are being used upwards of a year or longer? Potentially recontaminating your water with bacteria from the filter kind of defeats the purpose. Now, here's where the silver impregnated media comes in, because it helps to prevent that bacteria and mold growth. But to circle back to what I was saying earlier, silver is only going to have these antimicrobial effects for a certain period of time. I found studies concluding that silver continued to offer its antimicrobial benefits for as little as 56 days, but for as long as 6 or more months, so it doesn't look like there's a definitive answer here. And that leads me to ask, what happens when the silver in the media is no longer able to offer the microbial protection? Does using a gravity filter for such a long time actually further risk compromising water quality? And what about filters that aren't silver impregnated? These are all questions that I unfortunately don't have the answers to because the data just isn't there. So let's go back to the fact that many of these gravity-fed water filters are marketed as a prepper solution for emergency water treatment. That's all well and good, but not many of these manufacturers are actually explaining the importance of disinfecting water, probably because they're selling their systems as a solution to filter untreated water. Let's quickly imagine that there's been an emergency situation and you're concerned that your drinking water has been compromised, or the water is no longer coming from the tap and you need to source it from somewhere else. It's not going to be enough to filter your water with a system that's been advertised as an emergency preparedness solution if that filter doesn't actually disinfect the water or physically remove microbiological contaminants. Not enough manufacturers are making it clear that you really need to take additional steps to make your water potable. So my advice is to prepare at least one method of water disinfection for an emergency situation if you haven't already. You can actually easily disinfect your water before filtering it through your gravity filter, but if you have nothing else and you're in an emergency, just your basic unscented household bleach is a great option. And here's how much bleach you should add to different volumes of water according to the EPA. And make sure to let the water stand for 30 minutes to ensure proper disinfection. You can also use commercial water disinfectant tablets, which are a bit easier and safer as long as you follow the application directions. And you can easily store these for emergency use with your other supplies or bug out bag. Again, you're going to need to let the water sit for the specified amount of time, usually about 30 minutes, for it to become properly disinfected before you filter it. The nice thing about filtering your water after disinfecting it is that it'll probably reduce the disinfection chemicals, making the water taste better as well. As long as the system has some form of carbon media, it'll reduce chlorine and other disinfection chemicals. If you don't want to use chemicals to disinfect your water, you also have the option to boil it or use UV treatment. If you have the option to boil your water, this is a great option and super easy because it doesn't require any specific products that you have to buy in advance. The EPA advises that you should bring your water to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute to ensure it's properly disinfected, or 3 minutes at higher altitudes above 5,000 feet. You could also use a form of UV treatment like a UV water bottle, which is a quick and easy way to disinfect your water. The nice thing about UV is you don't have to wait for a chemical to take effect or for the water to cool after boiling it. but UV works best with clear water, so it should be properly filtered first. The choice is yours, obviously, but my point here is to make sure that you have some form of water disinfection ready for an SHTF situation in addition to your water filter. Now, I also want to mention ceramic media, which is sometimes used in gravity filters. It's a type of media that physically filters contaminants out of water based on their particle size. The filter pores are usually around 0.5 to 0.2 microns, which means they can trap smaller contaminants like many bacteria. But, and this is super important to note, the exact scope of contaminant reduction of ceramic filters obviously depends on the pore size of the specific filter and also the size of the different contaminants that are in the water. So a larger 5-micron ceramic filter won't reduce bacteria, and even the ceramic filters with smaller pore sizes most likely aren't going to remove all microorganisms like viruses and even some of the smaller bacteria. The WQA has rated ceramic filters for their ability to reduce microorganisms and rated them as fair/poor for the reduction of bacteria and poor for the reduction of viruses. Now, if a manufacturer says that their gravity filter is suitable for emergency preparedness solely because they use ceramic filters, this isn't guaranteed to be true. As I mentioned, you can't say for sure that even the ceramic filters with really small pores aren't going to remove all the types of bacteria that might be present. Some pathogens are small enough to pass through, and that means the filter isn't offering complete protection against microorganisms. I do just want to quickly highlight my own real-life test results here though, because I had a super positive outcome from my river water test with the Pro 1 Big Plus system. It effectively removed all bacteria strains detected in the untreated water, so its ceramic media performed well in this case. But because of what we know about the potential limitations of ceramic media for pathogen removal, I'd still always recommend disinfection just to be on the safe side. So are these gravity-fed water filters really a good option for emergency preparedness? It's a hard question to answer. There are a lot of benefits of these systems, but evidence that confirms their safety and efficacy as a long-term filtration solution is lacking. Plus, there's the whole issue that these systems aren't going to disinfect your water, which is essential in an emergency. I'd advise being prepared with a proper method of disinfection in addition to using a water filter to ensure clean water during an emergency situation. And if you want to learn all about how to properly source, treat, and store water for an SHTF situation, stick around and watch the next video, which is coming up right now. Click or tap to keep watching.